Hi, what's going on, guys? Welcome to your favorite Nikki. So last week's story time video reminded me of another I done messed up story. I don't have too many of these, I promise. But when I was cattail in the shot. Guffmal, your tail is in the shot. When I was 15 years old, my mom reported me missing. Yep, so that happened. So let's jump into this story. When I was 15, I started hanging out with this girl named Amber. This is a different Amber, not the Amber from the other Storytime video. Actually, at one point in my life, I was friends with 4 Ambers at one time. My mom would always tease me. She's like, I can't ever keep your friends straight. You have Amber, 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 and Amber, and then you have Kaylee, Kaylee, Callie, and Carrie. So yeah, that was kind of funny. I was really close to this girl, Amber, and we were hanging out pretty much every weekend at this time. But Amber also had a boyfriend, and sometimes she wouldn't want to hang out with me so she could hang out with her boyfriend. And I didn't really get that at the time. I was like, well, why don't you want to hang out with me too? Just like a total annoying third wheel friend. But one weekend, there was going to be this big party, and I got invited to this party. I was so incredibly excited about this because I had just started getting invited to parties, and this guy who would have these parties, these were like parties that you see in teen movies. They were insane. Practically the whole school shows up to these things, but I grew up in Minnesota, so these parties were at like a farm. This guy lived in the middle of nowhere, and he had all this property, and people would show up, so many kids from school. They'd be everywhere. There would be a huge bonfire, and then you'd have horses and cows in the background while everyone was like hanging out partying. So I really wanted to go to this guy's party. Another cattail in the shot. I thought it sounded like it would be a lot of fun. So I wanted to stay the night at Amber's because Amber's parents were a little more lenient than my mom. If I had friends over, we weren't allowed to leave the house. Amber, we could leave the house and hang out and have fun, do whatever we want. So I'm calling Amber, trying to ask if I can stay the night at her house, and she's not answering me. She would do that sometimes. When she wanted to hang out with her boyfriend and not hang out with me, she would just not answer my phone calls. And so that was happening that day. I called her a dozen times. I was kind of annoying, I know. But I still really wanted to go to this party. So I figured it would be fine. I would just tell my mom that I was staying at Amber's house, and I thought she would be cool with it. We've just never really crossed that bridge before. Every time I'd ask my mom if I could stay the night at a friend's house, she would say fine. So I assumed it would be cool if I just left a note. That was the kicker. My mom wasn't home, so I left a note saying, I'm staying the night at Amber's tonight, and I left it at my mom's house. So I still didn't know how I was gonna end up going to this party because I was gonna go with Amber. Amber was the one who heard about it and told me before, but she didn't end up wanting to go. And then I was walking downtown Northfield after school, and a bunch of boys were downtown in their pickup truck, and they said, hey Nikki, how's it going? And I said, hey, what are you guys doing? And they said, oh, we're about to go out to Josh's party. And I said, oh my gosh, can I get a ride with you guys? I really want to go. So I hopped in the back of the pickup truck and we drove out to this party. So this was still the time. Cell phones had already been invented. I had a cell phone, however, my cell phone ended up dying, which was what was gonna end up biting me in the butt. My phone had died. So I drove out to this party with these guys, and I'm hanging out, having fun, running into people I know, chatting. It's getting later and later. You know, this was one of those parties that, you know, went into the wee hours of the morning. My cell phone's dead. It turns out my mom went home and found the note that I left her and thought, wait a minute, oh no, Nikki, we do have rules. You can't just tell me that you're gonna go stay at a friend's house. You have to ask me first. And like I said, we just never really crossed that bridge before, so I wasn't aware of that. My mom ended up trying to call my cell phone over and over again, but my phone was dead. So I wasn't answering her phone calls, and my mom didn't know what was going on. So my mom starts calling Amber's house, but I'm not at Amber's house. And my mom was calling over and over again. No one's answering at Amber's house. Finally, Amber answers, but I wasn't there. And she told my mom that I wasn't there, but she didn't rat me out, even though she knew that I was probably at Josh's party. She didn't end up telling my mom that. Amber ended up calling my phone and couldn't get a hold of me either, which I found out because I later got her messages the next day. So I'm at this party. I didn't know what I was going to do. I know I needed to stay at a friend's house. I couldn't just go home that late. And a girl named Ashley, who is a year younger than me, said, "Hey, you can just stay at my house. My parents won't mind." So I ended up staying at Ashley's house. And then the next morning, we're sitting in her room. I'm thinking, yeah, it's probably about time I should head home. But Ashley walks in the room and says, "Hey, Nikki, you want to go to Walmart with me and my family?" So I thought. I ended up hearing her completely wrong. "Yeah, I'll go." You know, I just thought it won't be that long, just a quick trip, and then I'll head home. We get in her car and with her parents, with her family, and we've been driving a ways, and it ends up clicking in my head, this is taking a really long time. Walmart is a lot closer than this. Where are we going? Are we going to Walmart in Lakeville or something? So I asked her, I said, "Wait, where are we going?" And she said, "Wilmer." Oh my gosh, she came in the morning and said, "Do you want to go to Wilmer with me and my family?" And I said yes. Wilmer is another town in Minnesota that is over 2.5 hours away from Northfield, my hometown. At this point, I'm too embarrassed to say that I heard you wrong and I can't go to Wilmer because we've already been driving a while. I was just so timid and scared. I'm like, well, I can't just tell her I need to go home and to turn around. So I ended up going along with it. Okay, cool, we're going to Wilmer, Minnesota. It turns out I was going with her to hang out at her cousin's house on their farm and drive around ATVs, and that was fun. When I was there, you know, I thought, well, I'm already here, I might as well just have fun and go along with it. So we were riding four-wheelers all day. It was a pretty good time, but you know, at this point, it's afternoon the next day. I still hadn't called my mom. My mom has no idea where I was. And it turns out at night, my mom was flipping out because she couldn't find me. So she ended up calling the police and reported me missing. The Northfield police were looking all over for me all night long. And here I am just hanging out with my friend. I have no idea. So evening rolls around the next day. My cell phone is still dead. And I think, you know, I should probably really call my mom. She might not know where I am. She might be getting a little bit worried. So I ask Ashley's dad for his cell phone, and I dial my home phone. I call my mom, but nobody answers at my house. So I leave a message. I was like, "Hey mom, it's me. I was just calling." I don't even remember what I said in the voice message. And I go back out with Ashley, and we're hanging out at the farm with her cousins. Turns out my mom got my message and she called back the phone number that was on the caller ID and calls up Ashley's dad. And my mom calls guns blazing, so upset because she thinks that she's calling my kidnapper who was calling to ask for ransom or something. So Ashley's dad answers the phone and my mom goes, "Where is she? Where is my daughter?" So upset. My cat just turned around and looked at me really weird. I did that and seriously my cat's face was like it was a very human-like expression. But my mom was really, really upset, rightfully so. Now that I'm an adult, I'm like, yeah, I get it. If my daughter didn't come home for almost 2 days and I had no idea where she was, I might be upset too. Ashley's dad was totally blindsided by my mom. He was just, oh my gosh, Nikki is friends with my daughter. She's hanging out with our family. They're playing at the farm, riding four-wheelers and whatnot. My mom ends up calming down, and her dad comes, Ashley's dad comes and finds us, and he gives me the cell phone. You really need to call your mom, and you need to talk to your mom. She just called me, flipping out. And I felt so bad. I was so embarrassed. I called my mom. My mom was upset. She told me that the police were looking for me. She thought that I was missing. And yeah, it was pretty bad. I told her that I'd be coming home that night. Now my mom was calm, and she knew that I would get a ride with them back to Northfield when they were coming home. I ended up going back to my house at like 11 o'clock at night. I almost brought a kitten home with me from the farm too, which I was already in kind of deep water, so it is a good thing that I didn't bring a kitten back with me because my mom was already very, very upset. I ended up charging my cell phone when I was back at my house, and when I turned my phone on, sure enough, there were lots and lots of voice messages from my mom. Amber was calling me, trying to get a hold of me, saying my mom was about to call the police. I had messages from the Northfield police, like, Nicole, your mother reported you missing. You need to call home. You need to go home right now. And I had no idea this was going on this whole time. And it was one of those things that ended up getting worse and worse. I ended up going in a deeper hole. Well, I ended up going home. My mom was very, very upset with me. She was so mad. I learned my lesson to talk to my mom first if I ever wanted to go to a friend's house. I ended up being grounded for a very, very long time. I think Ashley's parents always hated me since that day. Ashley and I didn't hang out too much after that. And yeah, I mean, eventually my mom and my relationship mended. You know, kids make mistakes. Things like that happen. Thank goodness nothing worse did happen. Well, that was my story time for the day I accidentally went to Wilmer when I thought that I was going to Walmart, and my mom reported me missing to the police. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this story time video. Please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, and always remember that I love you, and stay tuned for more videos. Bye!